Hello and welcome to Anointed Touch Barber and Beauty and Apparel. I am Shanika Stewart, the owner of this amazing business. Listen, visit us at www.anointedtouchapparel, where you can find great savings, the latest fashion, and we want to meet every one of your needs, from ministry to fellowship to date night to vacation. Whatever the occasion is, I believe we have what you need. Again, visit us at www.oneanointedtouchapparel.com, where we aim to satisfy your apparel need. God bless.
I have a special guest who's coming from a long way through expressions of faith, having overcome and having set out on a direction that may be helpful to you. So we're going to come to you with a commitment of talking the truth, talking straight talk. And I'd like to introduce my guest so that when we come back after a recess here, you'll have a little bit about information about who she is and what she does. But I'd like for you to know how she has been successful and a few setbacks, but how she continues to achieve and overcome. And I met her today for the first time. Her name is Andrea Williams Jones, and I may not be pronouncing that right, but I'm going to focus on Andrea Jones. And I want her to come to tell you her story, her walk, her success, some of the dilemmas she's faced, and how that experience has positioned her to be a steward, to be a gatekeeper, and how that directs her to expose us to facts that we may not want to share with one another. And by exposing those facts, Ms. Jones, I think we tell the truth to those that need to hear the truth.
Right.
And we confront reality.
Exactly.
And when we confront the truth, we better ourselves.
Amen.
Because that's what this mission of life is about, the truth at the end. It's all that matters. So we'll come back and we'll learn how perhaps this show can help others, can help you, and guide you toward issues that you must face and that you must confront, and that you can no longer just put aside or assume that they somehow are going to go away on their own, because they need your help to position yourself so that you can find your way to the Christian life. And Ms. Jones is going to tell us how she got there. So we'll be back in a minute. Sit back, get ready to meet Ms. Jones, and get ready to find out what led her to the success that she's accomplished, as well as to the truth that makes her free in the gospel. We'll be back in a minute.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Ashford, and look for me on Royal Witness Television Network.
Hi, my name is Andrea Williams Jones, and I'm the playwright and director of One Night with the King of Kings. And my company is Dominion Productions, LLC. So be on the lookout for me on Royal Witness Television Network.
I really enjoyed the transparency of the ladies. You don't see that a lot nowadays.
First off, I love the actress that came out before, who was breaking down each type of woman, and then how that transitioned into each woman's story with the counselor.
It really allowed me to open up and just connect with the women in the crowd, so that I could really go to the place that I needed to go, so that they could really be set free.
Well, One Night with the King of Kings was something that was given to me in prayer after I had gone through a hardship of a divorce. And going through that divorce, as I started talking to other women, I started realizing that, wow, other ladies are really going through this, and some are even going through more than what I had gone through. And so I had been in prayer about what can I do, Lord, to help women who are hurting, women who may have experienced the same things that I've experienced throughout my life. For me, I felt a privilege that God could use me in that aspect to be able to do something and have my creative juices flowing to create this play that ultimately brings people back to the cross.
Hello and welcome to Anointed Touch Barber and Beauty and Apparel. I am Shanika Stewart, the owner of this amazing business. Listen, visit us at www.anointedtouchapparel, where you can find great savings, the latest fashion, and we want to meet every one of your needs, from ministry to fellowship to date night to vacation. Whatever the occasion is, I believe we have what you need. Again, visit us at www.oneanointedtouchapparel.com, where we aim to satisfy your apparel need. God bless.
We'll start with the fact that our guest came from Scotlandville, from one end of North Baton Rouge, and went to the south end of Baton Rouge.
McKinley Senior High.
Oh my goodness.
Panther, Big Blue Machine.
Oh, the Big Blue Machine. Well, when I was a little boy, Andrea, I'll tell you, that was the only thing going around here. Capitol High School was built in the 60s. I think that's the first year that school may have opened, if not somewhere near there. But McKinley had been around
A long time. McKinley was established back in 1907.
1907.
1907. It was a different name back then, and then eventually it became McKinley Senior High. But it was it was the school that if you wanted to go to high school, it was the school for anybody and everybody in Louisiana. So it has a lot of history. A lot of great people have come through those walls, doctors, lawyers, attorneys, judges, film writers, producers, athletes, just good people that just come through that school. And I'm just proud to be a Panther.
Well, I'm not a Panther. I'll admit that.
I won't hold that against
All right. I'm not a Panther. My mom's a Panther.
Okay, good people.
All right, my
Good
mom's
people.
a Panther. And our history is replete with overcoming, and that's important. And I don't know all of the history of how my parents overcame and how they got from nowhere to somewhere, but it's generational effects that I experienced and I witnessed.
Yeah.
And but now that you're a Panther, and after leaving McKinley High School, you went on to go to college. Now tell us about that.
Yes, I played sports in high
You
school.
played sports?
Yes, I played basketball and I ran track. And so part of my, I guess, decision, I wanted to, actually I was invited to go and try out at San Diego State University.
Didn't want to leave Baton Rouge?
No, I wanted to leave Baton Rouge. My dad didn't want me to leave Baton Rouge. And so he stated, is San Diego State in Baton Rouge, Louisiana? No, sir. Okay, you're not going. So it was by default that I went, but I had a really good experience, and I ended up going to LSU and majored in computer science initially, which is where I met my then husband.
Okay.
And so I realized at that point, this is not what I want to do.
Okay.
Staring at a computer all day, which is eventually what I'm doing now because I playwright, so I'm at a computer typing. But I end up going into business,
Okay.
which is kind of my passion. I've always been into selling. When I was in high school, my principal, Mr. William Breeder, put me in charge of the concession stand because they weren't making money. And he said, "Can you make me money?" I said, hey, I can do this. I will use my powers for good and not evil." So I made him money, and he said, "You're either going to be a banker or somebody with money or a long shark." I haven't figured that out yet. But so I went to business and went into business. And so from that point, I started my own business with my ex at the time, well, then husband at the time, and we started the real estate book publication here. And so he continued on with his computer science, and I continued on with the business. And so we just grew from that, and had 3 kids, and they did their thing, and just kept me extremely busy because they were in sports as well and in the academic world. And so right now my kids are all grown, and I have a doctor and an engineer and an accountant. So I figured I did pretty good. I'll have Botox for the rest of my life because my oldest is a plastic surgeon.
Wow.
I'll have all the free IT because I have an engineer, and I'll get free taxes done. So hey, I think I did pretty good.
Well, I think that the second coming is worthwhile, and I applaud you for that.
Yeah.
To get 3 of your children all through college and all through into professional careers is a game changer.
Yeah.
Game changer.
Yeah, it's my family has always been very strong in pushing education. That's going to take you through it, along with the foundation of Christ.
Okay.
That's important. And so I came from a family background on both sides, on the Williams side as well as on the Strap side. Such a strong foundation. My great-grandfather actually founded Shiloh Baptist Church across the river in Port Allen.
Okay.
So that foundation of Christ and church and community has always been embedded in us as a family. And so I try to instill in that and in my children as well, and excellence in anything that you do. I don't care if whatever you do, just do it in excellence, and do it according to what God has set forth for you, And so I just push that, and I think that instilled in them for them to have a sense of, I need to make things happen.
Wow.
And I just moved forward with that. So I kind of took that even through all of the setbacks that I've had, post-divorce, and then having to move to a totally different city, not really knowing anybody, but just being obedient to what God told me to do, move forward and trust in Him, and things just started falling into place. So that's how I ended there.
Very interesting past. The Stripes family, and from the other side of the West Baton Rouge area, and then in terms of your father's history.
Yeah.
Okay, so you come on the east side of the river here, and go to high school, then go to college, leave LSU with a Bachelor's of Science degree and business management and minor in marketing. So you got this academic undertaking, you got this education, you got this discipline. But you got some spunk too. You were an athlete.
Right.
You ran track. You played what other sport?
Basketball. I was a point guard.
All right, point guard. Now, when you're a point guard, you know what the importance of that guard is to the team.
Right.
That is the signal maker. That's the game changer. That's the caller, and that's the one who leads the team eventually. May not get all the awards, but definitely is
the workhorse.
That's right. So you're a workhorse. So leaving LSU. You get out and you get a family, and you spend time building the Realtor's book in Baton Rouge and putting it in a lot of stores. And then you move on through your stages of your life, right? Raise your children, and then what happens?
Then divorce happened.
Okay.
And I'm never a basher of exes because it takes two sides to every story.
Exactly.
Even though some people
Don't want
to acknowledge that.
You know that.
I know.
Okay.
But it's two sides to every
All
story.
right, I'm glad to hear you acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, Jones, if we don't acknowledge our part
Right.
in the problem,
Exactly.
whether it's small or large or equal,
Right.
we're part of it.
We're part of it,
Yes.
right. And so I had to step back and evaluate, okay, Lord, what was my part in this? And then what do I need to do to ensure that it can be better the next time, if that should happen.
Has that happened?
No, it has not.
Well,
No, it
we'll
has
hope that it happens for you.
Okay. So anyway, but the next time, for me, it kind of happened where I had a series of things to happen.
Okay.
I lost my dad to colon cancer. He passed on my birthday. And then I was laid off from my job because a new company came in and they basically cleaned out all management because I worked at a hotel. And then divorce happened. So it was kind of a three boom, boom,
Wow.
boom that hit me at one time. And so then I had to evaluate myself, my faith, Lord, what is going on? I have lost. I lost the two people or the two men in my life who I thought would kind of be there for me, my dad and my husband. And now my dad's gone and me and my husband are divorced. And so what's the next step, Lord? What else can happen? Don't ever say that. But what else can happen? And so he just kind of put on my heart that it was time for a change. It was time for me to move forward and really trust him. Are you going to trust me, or are you going to trust in the things that you think you know? And I just had to come to that realization, Lord, I have to trust you because who else do I have but you? Who else in the heavens, Lord, but you do I have? And so I remember packing up my car, and my mom laughed at me, but I had all of my clothes, and I had a lawn chair and my fishing rod that my godfather had given me. I had put everything else in storage, and I headed west.
So you were at a crossroads. Did you know that you were at a point where your life was in your hands, or how did you figure you could move in the direction where you would have some security, but at the same time have some freedom? You're trying to balance things to me, and for a young lady to have to just say, I'm just going to go with basics, the minimum,
Right.
and that's a decision that's challenging.
Yeah, it was challenging and a bit fearful, but I just had to trust in God to know that what I heard in my spirit, that when he told me that I needed to move, that I was going to be obedient to that, because I knew that if he moved me, he already had prepared something for me.
All right, so you listened.
So I listened.
You didn't reject.
I didn't reject it.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
We hear the calling. We hear I think we hear what's being advised. I think that our experiences and our history, somehow we just not listening, or we're not willing to accept it.
To take it. And I think part of it too had to be with my personality.
Okay.
And that stick-to-itiveness that I had,
Your
and also that fight and independence.
Yeah.
And I was trained by some good coaches,
Okay.
some great coaches,
Wow.
and they instilled in us that spirit of fight, and that you never give up, and that you keep pushing through, and you push through the pain.
Yes.
And because ultimately it's going to get better. And so I had so many strong people to pull on, from my parents, from my mom, from strong aunts that gave me examples to follow, from a strong grandmother, strong uncles, just family supportive, even my classmates. I can't say enough words about the class of 1981. I'm just going to put it out there.
I'm going to have to challenge you, because I'm the class of 72.
Okay.
If we think we set the...
Class of 81 is one, baby.
All right. I'm not going to with a point guard. I'll tell you. Okay, 81. Go ahead.
Okay, 81 class of 81. But I had such a strong foundational base from family and from friends that helped me to launch me to that place. Not to mention my pastors, I can't even say enough for the spiritual connection that I had from Pastor Fred and Betty Guerin. But I had a church member, and she said, well, I have an aunt in Austin, because I was going to interview. And she said, I told her about you. And she said, no, don't stay at a hotel. Come stay with us. I didn't know that lady, but I knew she was a Christian. Oh, wow. And God said, that's a connection there for you. And so I went, and when I tell you, she and her husband opened up her home to me, and whatever you need, let us know. Just it was just a blessing. And so he just continually put people in my place and just gave me favor, to the point where I started focusing. I was able to focus more on my writing, and then I started getting connected with other playwriters and a film producer, and who wanted to take this thing like right away. It was like, oh wait, hold up, I'm not quite there yet, I'm getting there. And then I started connecting with PR people, and it just opened that door. And then I started realizing, as I started taking that one step, what's my next step, Lord? Do this. What's my next step, Lord? Do this. Because I think sometimes when you look at the overall picture, it can become very overwhelming, and you can hyperventilate and have that anxiety. And so I had to pull away and say, Lord, just take me to that next step. Just let me focus on where you need me to be here.
Let me shift. We're going to come back, take a little break here. And when we come back to our discussion, I want you to walk us through this transition.
Okay.
And how, as you walked by yourself, in a sense, with your new life, how that experience helped you to be the lady and the strong person you are. Maybe you were already strong, I don't know, but I think the experiences after you left Louisiana and went through that experience in Texas with that lady who opened her house, somehow that reaffirmed your faith, or refortified it, or maybe kindled it somehow, made it real more. I don't know. When we come back, I want our guest, I want Andrea Williams Jones to share that transition, because I believe that a lot of us are in transition. We're moving, we're not ready yet for many reasons. We're not ready to make those decisions that are tantamount to our success, to our recovery. And so I want our guest to tell us how she transitioned, where now nothing holds her back. There are no fears in her heart. There are no regrets in a sense that she has not overcome whatever errors or whatever sadnesses she may have had. So we'll be back in a minute to talk about transition. And then our third segment is going to be about how this may help us evolve to help our children, ourselves out of criminal trouble. How to get into good trouble.
Right, there you go.
Yeah, get into good trouble.
Good trouble.
Not the kind of trouble that we're experiencing that is somehow undermining who we are. We'll be back in a minute. Stand by.
Hello and welcome to Anointed Touch Barber and Beauty and Apparel. I am Shanika Stewart, the owner of this amazing business. Listen, visit us at www.anointedtouchapparel, where you can find great savings, the latest fashion, and we want to meet every one of your needs, from ministry to fellowship, to date night, to vacation. Whatever the occasion is, I believe we have what you need. Again, visit us at www.oneanointedtouchapparel.com, where we aim to satisfy your apparel need. God bless.
I'm elated. I'm just very happy. I'm sorry we're running out of time, but we have a few minutes to transition. And I want Andrea to share with us how her transition has brought her this far by faith. Let's turn our attention to our guest.
Well, as far as transition, I've always grown up in a family of faith, and I just had to lean on that, and I just had to just kind of go before God and ask, Lord, what is it I need to do?
Okay.
You know, what do you want me to do? Where am I going with this? You know, I think if you, like I said earlier, if you look at the whole picture, sometimes it can be real overwhelming, and anxiety and fear sets in. And so I had to kind of back up and just say, okay, Lord, you know the whole picture, but it's too much for me to handle. So just give me pieces right now until I can get to that point where I can handle more. And so I just asked him to give me the next step. You know, Lord, what is my next step? Okay, then he got me to point A. Okay, Lord, what is my next step? And he got me to point B. And so eventually, as I continued with these small little steps, it led me to more things to open up where my faith was continuously being built upon. You know, each step I took, going to a new city, that was a step. Meeting this lady and Miss Ann, who just took me in and just basically showed such hospitality to a stranger. That was my next step, to trust. You know, then what's the next step? The next step was, okay, now I need to get you focused on what I have for you, and start putting you into places where you're going to meet people who are going to be part of your journey. And so that's kind of how I lived it. I just take it one day at a time, one step at a time. And then as I continue to climb, I start looking back and realize how God had elevated me to that point that I could look back and go, wow, look at what God did.
Wow, that's unbelievable. So you leave Baton Rouge, you are invited in by someone that's not related to you.
Correct.
And
bloodline anyway, yeah.
a bloodline, but
spiritually,
all right.
yes.
And
Sister in faith.
it starts with a foundation of trusting, and from that trust, it led to another step. And that step was to get you to focus. Trust, then focus, and then you led to another step, and then another step, and another step, and you kept going.
I kept going, moving forward. This was an illustration that God showed me, and somebody may get it, somebody may not. But when Paul told us to put the full armor of God.
Okay, put the whole armor.
The whole armor.
All right.
Okay, the whole full armor. The whole full armor in Louisiana. Put the whole full armor of God. He gave us the helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness, gird our loin with truth, feet prepared with the preparation of the gospel, and the sword in our hand, which is the word of God. And God showed me, I said, well, wait a minute, Lord, that's frontal attack. He said, yeah. He said, because I didn't create you to go backwards, because grace and mercy follows you. I created you to be forward.
Wow.
Always forward. So that revelation to me is what kept me going. I need to keep going forward, keep pressing forward, because God is already there. He's trying to get us to that point. So I live by these three mantras.
Three modules.
Three mantras.
All right, what are they?
One, I accept my past with no regrets.
Okay.
Okay? I handle my present with confidence.
Handle today with confidence. Put
confidence.
the past behind with no regrets.
No
and what's
regrets.
that third?
And the last one is I face my future with no fear, because God is already there.
Wow.
And that's what I live by.
Community. Face your future with no fear. I'm going to say that again. We're told to confront tomorrow and face it with no trepidation, no intimidation. Stand. Be strong in the word. You'll get through. I suppose we should end this show with that tone and that direction. Because if we're going to pull ourselves out of crime and violence, we need a word.
An on-time word.
We need to trust again.
Word. We need to trust again.
Yeah. so we can become focused.
Exactly.
So we have frontal attack.
That's it.
Put on the armor.
Put on the armor, full force.
Why don't you close this show out? It's been a pleasure. I'm going to let our guest close us out and give us a word for the morrow.
Wow. Well, I just want to say that no matter how bad the situation is, no matter what you think may happen, at the end of the day, God is still in control. And if you trust that, it's going to always work out. Not sometimes, it will always work out because He is the one that is in total control of your situation. He just asks us to trust Him. And that's what we have to do as His people. Trust to know that your Father cares and that He's already there waiting on you to make that decision, to take that first step that's going to lead you to the next step that's going to lead you to your purpose.
And that final module for your success, tell us that so we can benefit.
To face my future with no fear. And that's what I have to go to because I have nothing else. So I have to trust.
It's been a pleasure.
I do. My pleasure too.
I thank you
sir.
I thank you very much for coming to tell us your story, your past, where we're going for tomorrow. I thank our community for listening. Good day.